In this video, I'm going to share with you how to sell marketing funnels using webinars. So if you have ever wanted to scale your sales process, or if you're wanting to sell more marketing funnels, or maybe you're looking to improve your sales process and you want to see if webinars are the right sales process for you, in this video, I'm going to share with you the whiteboard behind me on how to use webinars to sell your marketing funnels to your clients that I've used and I've learned the hard way. Hey there, funnel builders. Mike Killen here from Sell Your Service. If you are a funnel builder, go ahead and click subscribe and the little bell notification icon, because I produce new videos like this every Tuesday, helping funnel builders like you sell more marketing funnels to your clients. But in the meantime, let's talk about how to use webinars to sell marketing funnels. Lots of funnel builders struggle with selling marketing funnels at scale and having a system to be able to just repeatedly sell funnels. And many of us understand the power of having a large audience that we can pitch to, but it can be quite difficult to know if webinars are the right way to sell funnels or what the right process is to sell your service to your customer. A lot of marketing funnel builders mistakenly believe that webinars can only be used to sell courses, and that's just not the case. I've used webinars to sell services, to sell professional services, coaching, one-on-one consultation, all kinds of products. It's all about how you want to sell your products, and frankly, in the position we are in now, webinars are a fantastic way to start selling done-for-you services and consultation type services. The trick is making sure that your webinars work well, so that's what I want to share with you on the board behind me, plus a few tips to the camera here before we jump up there. Before we go on, if you are looking for more leads for your funnel business, go ahead and download my free 3-step lead generation plan. You can use the link below in the description, or just head to go.sellyourservice.co.uk/leads and you can download a completely free 3-step guide on generating leads on autopilot for your funnel business. So in order to sell marketing funnels using webinars, the first thing you have to remember, and this is the thing that most people get wrong, is you have to get the call to action right. You have to make the call to action extremely specific and simple to understand. Of all the parts of the webinar, most people like to focus on the landing page and the actual slides and stuff, but none of that matters. The first thing you need to write out is the call to action. If someone spends an hour or 45 minutes or 90 minutes with you, what do you want them to do afterwards? Do you want them to go to an order page? Do you want them to book a consultation call? Do you want them to go ahead and put down a deposit? Do you want them to buy something? You have to be extremely clear on what the call to action is that you want your customers to take. There'd be no point in doing a 90-minute webinar only to have the call to action fizzle out. You have to be really hyper specific and really clear about where they're going to go, and hopefully you'll see that on the board behind me. That actually counts for the sign up process, the landing page, all of that. But on the call, more than anything, you will only waste efforts unless you have a really specific and clear and hyper targeted and obvious call to action that you talk about over and over and over and over. You need to say to them, go to this page, go to this link, put in your contact information, or buy it now. It's a $500 deposit, or book a call. And I'm going to share some examples with you, but make sure you have the call to action as obvious and specific as possible. The second thing is to expect roughly a 1% conversion rate. I know this doesn't sound like a lot, but if you get 100 people on a call and one of them buys, that's typically pretty average. Think of it like this. If you did 10 calls with 10 people, roughly one of those would convert into a sale. Now, obviously you can increase that number, and I'm going to share with you my little hidden hack that absolutely helps you double, sometimes even 10x that number. But what I want you to do is mathematically work out that if it's going to work out at a 1% conversion rate, you need to make sure that you spend a ton of time driving as many people to visit that as possible. Or if you only get 10 people join, you need to know that you're going to run it 10 times. It's much better off being realistic and knowing what the conversion rates are before you start, rather than being disappointed later on. Now, that 1% conversion rate doesn't even necessarily come on the call. Sometimes that comes a little bit afterwards. And like I said, you can increase that. But in my experience, across a broad range, you want to be aiming for a 1% conversion rate. And if you get it higher, that's awesome, fantastic. You're obviously doing a lot of stuff right. For a start, what the hell are you doing watching this video? But don't go into it thinking if you run a webinar, you're going to walk away with tens of thousands of orders, because the reality is it's roughly a 1% conversion rate, which you can improve, which I'll talk about in a bit. And on that note of increasing conversion rates, you can or 5 or even 10x the conversion rates on a call if you follow up. The fortune is in the follow-up. Most people will need to hear or see the offer 6, 7, 8 times. That you'll need to reach out to them a number of times. You've got their contact information, you've got their name, their email address, you might even have their phone number if they're a previous customer or lead. So you need to make sure that anyone who attends, who sees the offer, you want to have a conversation with them to find out, are they ready to buy? Are they interested? Does this sound like the right deal for them? Why did they attend the webinar in the first place? And when you say, do you want to take this to the next step? We can start today. We just need a $500 deposit or a 50% deposit or whatever it is, and they go no, then you need to understand why. You need to understand what those objections are. But the follow-up is where you will make your sales. If you're not the first person to make the offer to the customer, you need to be the last person, because if they're joining your webinar, they're in the mindset that they want to make some kind of change. And if you don't follow up with them, all that's going to happen is they're going to go elsewhere. So make sure you follow up, otherwise you'll be wasting all of your previous efforts. And point number 4, just before we jump up to the whiteboard, keep the webinar topic specific. You need to solve an extremely specific problem. I see this all too often, people trying to sell and explain like everything in the entire process. The irony is you'll have higher signups, you can increase your price as well on the product on the back end if you keep the webinar hyper specific. So rather than saying, I'm going to teach you your entire marketing strategy for the year, or I'm going to show you how to brand your business, like the really broad generic stuff, what you want to do is say, I'm going to talk about the 5-word structure that allows me to double my traffic overnight. The more specific you are with your webinars, the more likely you are to get people to sign up. And that's because they understand what they're going to get. I know it's very tempting to try and give everything away, and you think surely no one's going to want to join a webinar that only gives away one tiny bit of information, but it's only one tiny bit of information to you. If I said to you, here's the 5 foods that you can eat as much as you want of and still lose weight, that's something you'd want to join because it's hyper specific. The offer on the landing page and the squeeze page for the webinar needs to be hyper targeted and super specific to your audience. And then the product that you sell afterwards, all you're doing then is taking that specific product and making it faster and easier for someone to get those results. That's the way that I want you to think about it. So with that, let's jump over to the whiteboard and I'm going to take you through my very simple 3-step process for building a marketing funnel selling webinar. So this is my really simple webinar process that I like to use. Here's how I want you to do this. And there's a couple of key points. Chances are you already know how to build a webinar. I use Webinar Kit for my webinars. It makes everything ludicrously simple and they basically take care of all of this. And I'll leave a link to Webinar Kit down below, as well as another video to the review that I did of Webinar Kit. But this is how I like to build out my webinars. So first of all, I start with my traffic. So I've got email lists, ads, socials, whatever. They'll all be driven through to the same landing page. Now this landing page, like I said, gives something extremely specific and hyper targeted. And I do a roughly 3 to 5 day notice. That's even for ads. I have seen the automated webinars that go out that are constantly on evergreen, and those work. I'm not taking away from those, but for your first few, you're going to want to do about a 3 to 5 day launch period for this kind of webinar. And anyone who signs up, you need to send them reminder emails. You need to send them a reminder email as you're going live. You need to send them a reminder email an hour before, the day before that. You need to keep reminding them that they've got this coming up, and you will increase the amount of people who attend your webinar. This is the important part, the call to action. Roughly speaking, if you have your webinar split into thirds like this, the first 2/3, no matter what that is, if that's 30 minutes, the 15 minutes needs to be spent on the call to action. If this whole thing is 90 minutes, then 60 minutes needs to be spent on that, and 30 minutes needs to be spent on the call to action. And what you want to do is drive people to one of those really targeted specific pages, a sales page, a booking page, a coaching page, something that will actually take them to the next step. And what you want to do is follow up. I can't stress this enough. For the next 3-4 days afterwards, you need to repeatedly follow up multiple times a day and through multiple channels, if possible, both through email, calls, text, maybe they're in your social groups as well. And you want to get them and remind them about the call to action. And anyone who seems close, have a conversation with them. Find out why they're not buying. Find out why they did join the webinar and then ask them, okay, what was it about the call to action that didn't want you to solve that or help you solve that problem more? So that's my very basic 3-step system for selling marketing funnels using webinars. Remember, if you want the 3-step plan that I talked about for generating leads for your business, go ahead to go.sellyourservice.co.uk/leads or use the link down below and I'll just give you my 3-step plan on how I generate basically hundreds of thousands of leads completely on automation with no niche, no advertising, no portfolio or anything like that. I'd love to know if you're using a webinar funnel or formula like this. If you're already using something like this, let me know in the comments down below. Or if you thought this video was useful, give me and leave a comment down below as well. I've actually got another video, which I'll put to the side here, talking about my webinar funnel that I use to sell all kinds of products. So if you want a bit more detail around this, go ahead and check that video out because it talks about how I build webinar funnels, goes over a ton of examples, and I'll actually show you my exact formula that I use for building funnels, and I talk a little bit about Webinar Kit as well. In the meantime, guys, thank you very much for watching. Make sure you subscribe, hit the like button and the subscribe button and the bell button as well, and I will see you on the next video. Have courage, commit, and take action.